YouTube, how's it going? The GOAT House is back with my Week 12 NFL score predictions, predicting the score and picking against the spread of every game here in Week 12. We do this video every Wednesday afternoon. We have straight up picks with the other guys at the GOAT House already up. All kinds of NFL content on our channel. More to come, even in the offseason. So join us, like, subscribe, to notifications on. Follow us on Twitter. There's a link pinned in the comments for that, as well as our sponsors. Use code GOAT on the GLD shop or Liquid IV. Rocking that Buffalo Bills helmet pendant here. They have all NFL teams, helmets or logos. They have some NFL jersey pendants as well. Some cool stuff there. Very affordable. They have some crazy discounts going. So you don't actually have to use our code because they might have better codes going on right now. But if you use our link pinned in the comments, that'll work. That helps us out a ton. So appreciate you guys. Yeah, all those links pinned in the comments. Score prediction. This week's tough for picking against the spread. A lot of them are going to be really tight. You know, the Bills are favored by 9.5. Which is a lot, especially considering the Lions are pretty hot right now. But it's a bad matchup for the Lions. You know, the Bills play some pretty tough defense. Then they can slow down the Lions. You know, they also obviously can score. Lions defense has been playing a bit better recently, but different challenge here in the Buffalo Bills. But I still 9.5 feels like a lot considering what's going on with the Bills. You know, it was late traveling to Detroit to play the Browns because the snowstorm out there in Buffalo, and then they're back in Detroit this week. So it's been a really weird last week or so for the Buffalo. More than that because how the Vikings game ended as well. So I don't know if you can expect it beat up on defense as well. So I don't know if you can expect perfection here in a game like this. But I still have them winning just because looking at the matchup. Feels like it favors the Bills there. So 30, I think they can get things going. I think Josh Allen has a good game. They're getting the running game going. They're making you think, like, all right, they might not abandon the run like they normally do. They just pounded the football on the Browns last week. So we got to worry about that, And looking at the Lions, they've struggled to stop the pass and the run better recently, but it's a tough matchup. But I have the Bills winning 30-23, some scoring there on Thanksgiving. The next game, Giants and Cowboys, is also a 9.5 spread. I have the Cowboys just covering this one for a couple reasons. The Giants are extremely beat up. There are a lot of teams really beat up, so I don't want to make excuses for one team. But the Giants are kind of one of those newer teams that are extremely beat up. A list of guys, and they've had guys out all year, but now it's really like, okay, now that all of a sudden they have all these guys out. And I think there's starting to be a game plan out there for the Giants now. We saw the Lions beat up on them, so things kind of coming back down to normal here a little bit. Teams kind of causing some problems for Daniel Jones, maybe figure out how to slow down the run. Maybe not stop it, but slow down the run a little bit. You can run on the Cowboys, so that'll be the key for the Giants. Run the ball, run the clock, so maybe a little lower scoring than expected because of that. I just don't see the Giants doing a whole lot on offense. Cowboys are hot, rolling. It's only a one-game win streak, but rolling out of that Minnesota win, they got the momentum. They're firing on all cylinders. I'm talking about both sides of the ball, everything there. So I think the Cowboys take advantage of the Giants being beat up and having the momentum and, crunch time of the season where, the Cowboys tend to play a little bit better than the Giants. So 24-13 on Thanksgiving in Dallas. So I have them just covered. 9.5's a lot, especially for a division game, but I got the Cowboys winning by 11 here. I almost second-guessed my math there for a second. But, division rival game on Thanksgiving should definitely be interesting. The last game was a lot of fun. It was earlier in the year. It was a lot of fun there. We'll see if it's a little different this time. The Cowboys won last time, but we'll see if it's a tight one like last time. I think the Cowboys outplayed them maybe more than the score showed last time, but it was a good one. Patriots-Vikings, an extremely tough one to pick as well. I'm going to go Vikings here on this one. And it's tough because the spread's 2.5. I have them winning by 3, so I just wouldn't touch that one. If you feel like the Patriots are pulling off upset, you want to go like a money line Patriots pick, I'm definitely not against that at all because the Patriots could win this game. They very well could. They're playing incredible defense right now. They have an incredible pass rush, second in sacks behind the Cowboys. The Cowboys, who sacked Kirk Cousins 7 times last week, factor in it's primetime Kirk, Thursday night football. So you got to factor that in a little bit. You got to factor in the Vikings offense line is beat up. So if you look at it that way, it's like, all right, the Patriots pass rush is going to get home. They're going to cause some problems. And originally when I was thinking about that, I'm like, man, the Patriots are going to win this game. I had to factor in some other things. The Cowboys had a fantastic offensive game plan, put some new plays in there. They are high-powered on offense, what kind of gave the Vikings some problems as well. I don't know if the Patriots have that. They're going to make some plays. They're going to move the ball. They'll run the ball, control the clock. They just don't really have that. And this is a little bit more of a test because look at the offenses they've been playing during their win streak. It's not the toughest one. So it's going to be a little bit more of a test. I'm going to trust the Vikings to make that extra play. The Patriots are going to get more sacks in this one, but I'm going to trust the Vikings to make that extra play. And Mac Jones hasn't been protected all that well either. Zadarius Smith and Neil Hunter, they'll probably be getting after Mac Jones as well. So that could be a factor. See if the Vikings defense goes back to kind of making clutch plays. I kind of go back to, I think the Vikings make that extra explosive play. Could be on either side of the ball. I think the Patriots defense is better, but probably on offense for the Vikings. A lot of man coverage from the Patriots. Jefferson should be able to get open. Some young corners out there. So I'll take the Vikings 23-20. Would not, against the spread, I wouldn't touch it. It could go either way. Vikings could win by 1, 2, 3. The Patriots can win by 1, 2, or 3. I don't expect an ass beating either way. So should be pretty fun on Thursday Night Football. A true test for both these teams. This is kind of like a statement game for both these teams. Like, can the Vikings get back on track? Can they beat teams with good pass rushes? Now that they're finally kind of beat up because they're pretty damn healthy, most of the year. Now they're a little beat up on the offensive line. Can the Patriots, they're on a roll right now. They've been great on defense. Can they beat the better teams? Can they do the same thing? So it's a statement game for both teams, in my opinion. And it's on Thursday night on Thanksgiving, so it should be a lot of fun there. Wouldn't really touch it when it comes to money, though. Bucks and Browns. I'm going to go Browns in this one. It's definitely a bold pick. I see a lot of people picking the Bucks. I was the only one to pick the Browns in our video last night. Just kind of a gut feeling. I know Tom Brady and the Bucks kind of got some momentum rolling, 2 wins in a row, and they had the bye last week to prepare for the Browns. So that's kind of what sides with the Bucks. And then beating the Seahawks was pretty impressive. What they did in that Seahawks game was they came out pounding the football, and they stopped the run. Just 2 things they haven't been doing, surprisingly have not been doing this year. Can we trust them, the Bucks that is, to continue to do that? They're really easy to abandon that run and just have Tom Brady throw 40 times more than that a game. Will they be going back to doing that? You got Myles Garrett in that pass rush, getting after him. We saw the offensive line struggle a little bit during their losing streak. Tom Brady struggling under pressure a little bit. They haven't really been playing crazy pass rushes recently in their wins. So maybe a little bit more of a test. Again, I'm not going to... The Seahawks game was so good. Like, if they can do that again, then I can trust them to win. But that was kind of that one game where they showed me those things. That they can run the ball again. They can stop the run again. But, going against Nick Chubb, who's coming off a rough game, actually. Wasn't not really his fault. They couldn't really block for him, surprisingly. But I think they get going again. I think the Browns get going. I think Nick Chubb has a pretty good game here, and they control the clock. I think Myles Garrett gets home. Maybe more than that. Bucks got a deadly pass rush, but can they pass blitz like they want to do when it may be a Nick Chubb home run? You don't want to do that. So I'm siding a little bit more towards the Browns. Being in Cleveland helps me as well. If it was in Tampa, I'd probably be picking the Bucks, but I'm going to pick the Browns, 24-23. Get that last win with, that one more win with Jacoby Brissett's last game before Deshaun Watson comes back. It's kind of a gut feeling here. They're underdogs by 3.5. So it's an interesting one. I don't see them losing by more. I'm surprised by that line. Like, if the Browns lose, is it going to be more than, I guess it could be, but is it really going to be more than a field goal? They lose by 3, you win, obviously. So that's an interesting one there. Just a gut feeling there with the Browns. This is a really tricky one as well when it comes to against the spread, because I could very well pick the Titans. Made the mistake of picking against them last week. The Titans are in a regular season juggernaut. Very well coached team. By Vrabel, obviously. And they got some ball players. They got some tough physical guys, obviously. They're so beat up, though. They're so beat up. And that's where I'm kind of not fully trusting them in this game. Danico Autry, I don't think is going to play. We'll see some other guys get back on the field, but like Bud Dupree. But, Hooker's supposed to be back, safety. But, already having Harold Landry out, obviously, for the whole year. And then Danico Autry is so important to them. Jeffrey Simmons is their best player. Him and Kevin Byard out there. And David Long's been playing very well as well. But, last year, going back to the playoff game, the Titans sacked, Burrow for a record number of times. But they had Jeffrey Simmons, who they have now. They had Harold Landry. They had Bud Dupree. They had Danico Autry. They're missing half those guys right now. So that's tough. Bengals getting Jamar Chase back, which he hasn't really been on, the game plan, film the last few weeks. T. Higgins starting to pick it up. You got to worry about him. P. Ryan leaking out on pass plays now. So much to worry about. Titans defense is one of the very best, the top 3 defense right now. They're mainly good stopping a run. It's a little different dealing with the Bengals here, who are now getting healthier as you're getting more beat up. So that's where my head's at when picking the Bengals here. With the spread, I could very easily see the Titans winning at home here. So, you almost want to pick them against the spread. This is the score I had, though, in mind, 24-20. The Titans, which offense is going to show up? That offense, that was the first time we saw that. Last week against the Packers, they haven't scored that many points all year. Is that going to be, are we going to see that again? Or are we going to see kind of that bland, quiet offense relying on Derrick Henry, like we saw the previous week? So there's a lot of questions here with this one. I'm going to trust the Bengals to make those explosive plays. Maybe not an insane pass rush on Burrow. The Titans will probably get, Jeffrey Simmons a monster. He's probably going to get after him, but I'm a little more confident with the Bengals here in this one, even though they're away. But the Bengals slip up at times, man. They get going, and all of a sudden, it's just a very, very bad game, And maybe it's a similar game like the Browns, where they couldn't stop Nick Chubb, and then the pass rush was getting after Burrow like crazy. You need to put it that way. That was a prime time in Cleveland, though. So this is one I would not put money on here. But this is the score that I had here, 24-20. It's a very tricky one. This is the most difficult going into the week. This week is the most difficult when picking against the spread, for sure. A lot of tough games. Texans and Dolphins. Look at this one. It's such a big spread, 13.5. I like the Dolphins covering here. They're going to score points. It's what the Dolphins do. They're going to be too fast for the Texans. They're going to be the tempo, like how they get how fast Tua gets the ball out. It's so fast. They can win on the ground with Wilson and Mostert. That might be the biggest thing here. They can only run the ball and just torch, I think, the Texans here on the ground. So they're going to do a bit of both. Texans defense has been. It hasn't. They can't stop the run, but it's been a little better than expected. Maybe we could say this year. But the Dolphins are going to score. I'm confident in them scoring around 31 there. And the Texans put in Kyle Allen to take out Davis Mills. Mills has some explosive plays here and there, but in crunch time, he has some bad turnovers. So can Kyle Allen flip that? Maybe, take away those turnovers at the end of games, but is he going to make the big plays to keep them in the game early? He's got a good arm, but I don't really see it. So maybe some late scores, even with the 16 here to get up to that. So I got the Dolphins covering that big spread, winning 31-16. It is kind of cutting it close there, though. It's a big spread, but I like the Dolphins. They're just a lot better, and they match up very well with the Texans. Bears and Jets. This is one I could change. Not who I'm picking. I'm going to pick the Jets in this one for sure. But I could change the score, and the line probably could change as well. It's possible, not by much. It has to do with the Bears quarterback situation. But first, Zach Wilson benched, which to me it's actually a little surprising. Wilson had a bad week last week, and he's been getting knocked, based on comments and everything. But I really didn't think they were going to bench him. They're going to put Mike White in, which he showed us some flashes in the past. I don't know. That doesn't really change anything for me for the Jets. In a game against going against the Bears defense, would they score more or less with Zach Wilson and Mike White? I would have about the same there. So, but it's going to be Mike White for the Bears. It's Justin Fields or Trevor Siemian. I think they would be able to do more in terms of yardage and points with Justin Fields, obviously, because I think if Fields is in there, he'll escape a pressure, or they'll have a design run where he'll get a good amount of yards and probably more points as well. Simeon's going to be maybe a little smarter, up here, not more talented, but up here, maybe a little smarter from passing from the pocket, but he's probably a little rusty. He's been sitting there for a bit, so I don't know if it's that huge amount of difference in terms of the actual score. Obviously better off with Fields, no doubt. Because of his running ability, but I could switch the score based on what's going on there. And Fields, it sounds like he's really hurt. I don't know why. If they play Fields, it's a little head scratching maybe. It feels like if they play a guy that's injured, well, it could be one or two things. He's not injured, he's fine, which doesn't sound like it. Or number two, the Bears just don't care. They don't. Because if it's your franchise, for sure this is your guy of the future, and he's beat up, and you play him. That wouldn't make any sense. So if they play an injured guy, it's either one or two things. They think he's 100% fine, he's going to play, or they just don't care. They're playing a guy and they're not really set on who the quarterback of the future is. So it's going to be telling on if he's out there or not, what that actually means. But Yeah, a little bit more of a test for the Bears in two ways. And we say usually when you say a little bit more of a test, it's been talking about a team that's been winning. They've actually been losing, but they've been scoring a good amount of points. But a little more test for two reasons. Pretty good defense with the Jets there, and the Bears kind of changed their offense. Not kind of, they really changed their offense a few weeks ago, a little bit more than a few weeks ago against the Patriots. So now, a few weeks in, just like week 1 to like week 4 or 5, teams start to game plan and figure out these offenses that were tough to game plan for, and then they kind of show their true identity. So we're about that at that time here to kind of see if teams are able to game plan for this or not. So two reasons why it could be maybe a little bit of a statement for the Bears offense. Not that we need to see the Bears win. They're not win now team, but I like the Jets defense though. They're at home in this one, and I got them covering that 4.5 barely. I got them winning 26-20. But that's an interesting game. It would have been more interesting if it was Wilson and Fields, but may not be either of them. Also, the same spread, 4.5, and I actually have a 6-point game on this one as well. I got the Commanders covering here. They're playing incredible defense right now. The Falcons, they're a little sneaky on offense. They have explosive plays here and there. Mariota can get loose. Obviously, Patterson can as well. No more Pitts, which he is actually a factor, even though he hasn't been super, super productive. Having that body out there and such like a mismatch problem, teams worry about him, and it opens things up for other players, obviously. So him not out there is definitely a factor here. And again, the Commanders' defense is balling right now, and they're at home in this one. So I don't think the Falcons, and they'll probably have a wild play here and there. Mariota maybe escapes. So I don't have them scoring too many points here, though. 17, and the Commanders scoring 23 there, around that range. So winning by 6, covering that spread. Another win for the Commanders here. But Falcons, seem like a trap game type of team there, but I'm confident with the Commanders on that one. Broncos and Panthers, Jesus Christ, this one's tough. This one's just one of those games, tank bowl perhaps. 13-2, and the Broncos don't even have their own first-round pick, but 13-12 is what I've got. A very, very, very low-scoring game. It might even be lower in this. This is a flip of a coin game. I was originally going with the Panthers in this one. I saw the schedule a few days ago, and I was like, I'm going to go with the Panthers in that one. And the main reason I came up with that, 2 reasons. They're home. In a 50-50 game, they're home, and they have something to play for. The Broncos really don't, and the Panthers, I know some people, they got something to play for. You may not think so, but the NFC South is kind of open still, and they're going to try to win ball games. And maybe some of the fans don't want them to win ball games. They want that top pick. But that's where I was going to go with the Panthers. But I'm sitting there thinking about it, and they decide Sam Darnold's coming in. I'm not a big Darnold guy, going against a good defense. But I'm like, yeah, he started the year off hot last year when there's no game plan for him. Maybe he starts good again. There's no tape on him right now for this year under the Ben McAdoo offense, so maybe. But I was kind of just thinking back and forth, like, who do I trust to make that extra play on offense? I thought there's going to be much at all, but I'm just thinking, how are the Panthers really going to score much on the Broncos defense? I know the Panthers play pretty good defense, but I'm going to trust Russ. It's bold, but Russ over Darnold is not bold. I'm going to trust Russ, guy like Cortland Sutton, to make that extra play, that duo there. It should be a lot better, the offense in general than it is. But I would not take the Broncos minus 2.5, though. I wouldn't touch it in general. But since it's such a 50-50 game, and the Panthers could win, I was originally going with the Panthers. Usually that bites me in the ass when I switch. But yeah, if you were to put money on it, you take the Panthers with the points there because it's going to be tight. But they very well could lose by 3. That's very realistic as well. Could win by 3. So this week's very, very tough. Ravens and Jags, but this could be a trap game for sure, and I think Vegas may think so as well with the 4 spread, because you'd think Ravens Jags, if you would predict the spread would probably, I think the average person, football fan, I should say, that just watches every game, they would probably, and I think myself, I think we'd be on board with that it would probably be around like 6, 7 would be the spread, but it's at 4, and I could see why though, kind of looking at it. I can definitely see why the Jags play even good teams. They play them tight. They're better than their record shows. They kind of have that big play ability with Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence. They play some pretty tough defense, and they don't. The Ravens don't have that crazy pass game as well. So this could be the Jags could be sneaky here. So it could be a trap game. I could see the upset At the same time, I had the Ravens just covering, though, 23-17. Main reason why is the Ravens are playing great defense. I think the defense really stepped it up. Remember, they shifted things going into this year. They have a new defensive coordinator. You know, they're running a bit more zone they used to. They're blitzing a little bit less. They still blitz a bit, but they're changing things up. They're adding new players, you know, from the draft, big player like Kyle Hamilton. They add Roquan Smith. They're getting Marcus Williams back now, so they're adjusting. So then they just started getting going a couple weeks ago. You know, so I think that's a big factor. You know, holding the Jags to 17. I got the Ravens scoring 23. It's going to be close to that 4 line, though. It could be a trap game, and I don't really trust the Jags to close out games. Like, I could see them honestly be winning like 17-16 with the final 2 minutes, and the Ravens go down there and score. You know, would they play for a field goal in that scenario? Possibly, but could see them going down and scoring, you know, late in the game. It's kind of a Ravens and Jags thing to happen there, but could be a trap game. Chargers, Cardinals. Chargers are -4.5. I got them winning by 7. It's a really tricky one as well. It's in Arizona. It's just the Cardinals have, you know, the ultimate, I don't know the word I'm looking for. They could surprise the Chargers here. They really, really could. Kyler Murray's coming back, it sounds like, which is good. And we know the Cardinals with their spread offense, Kyler Murray's arm, all the receivers, including Hopkins, they pass the ball. They're going to pass the ball a lot. They don't, you know, when it's time to run the clock, they don't really care about that. They're going to continue passing the ball, you know, and I don't really mind that sometimes, you know, go put teams away, try to at least. They haven't really done a great job, but, you know, so looking at it like that, it favors the Chargers because the Chargers are a lot better stopping the pass and stopping the run. The Chargers also can make explosive plays on offense, but what the Cardinals can do here is just pound the football. You know, they're going to expect them, you know, the Cardinals to spread the ball out, whip it downfield at Murray back, worry about Hopkins. No, come in there, pound the football with James Conner and Keontae Ingram. Chargers have a injured and weak run defense. The Cardinals can control the clock and possibly win the game doing that. That's what the Cardinals should do. And if you told me right now, like if I was in that room and Kingsbury's like, this is what we're doing, my pick would be a lot different. I'd probably pick the Cardinals to win the game. I don't trust them to do that, though. They're going to let Murray sling it. And they ran the ball a lot more with Colt McCoy. I don't know if that's just because they trust Kyler Murray way more than Colt McCoy, which definitely could be, or if Murray's checking out of runs and going past when he's in. So I just don't know. I don't know if it's all Kingsbury. You know, nobody knows. Some of you think they'll know, but we don't know sometimes if there's what type of plays they're changing at the line. But they need to run the ball more in a game like this. I don't really fully trust them. Chargers were heating up a little bit last week, even though they lost. They played the Chiefs. Good seeing a guy like Keenan Allen getting going there. The Cardinals look like they're almost giving up. At least maybe they were giving up at some point of that game against the 49ers. So I'm going to take the Chargers here, and they'll have plenty of offense. 27-20 is what I got in that one. And they got to start hot, which they've been starting pretty hot early in games there recently, even though they lost 2 in a row. Raiders and Seahawks. Got the Seahawks winning 26-20. They're favored by 3.5, so I have them covering that. They're off the bye week there. Maybe the Raiders got some momentum here. You know, I could see Carr and Adams linking up here in this game, having a solid game. Jacobs could be. Jacobs is actually the key. You look at the Seahawks, struggle to stop the run for the most part this year. Look at the Bucs. Why the Bucs upset them? It's because they pounded the football. You know, all over them. So, you know, so the Raiders and Josh Jacobs could do that, and they could win because of that. But the Raiders' defense, better last week. They played the Broncos. They have not been good recently. I think Geno Smith getting that rest off the bye with DK and Lockett, you know, which we've seen DK beat up at times as well. I think they have a day through the air, or somewhat of a day through the air, and then win this game 26-20. But Josh Jacobs is the key for the Raiders, and that could be the way to pull off the upset there. Rams and Chiefs, big spread of 14.5, and I have the Chiefs covering. I have them winning by 17. It's the matter of the Chiefs, you know, hitting the brakes, you know, letting off that gas. That is what it's going to come down to if you're putting money on the Chiefs minus 14.5, because they are very, very capable, very easily of covering the spread. It's going to be Bryce Perkins, who can run a little bit. Chiefs defense has been playing a lot better recently. I know the Chargers made some big plays. It's a high-powered offense, so Chiefs pass rush is really what's been getting better. The Rams are beat up on the offensive line. The offensive line's not good as it is. They have Perkins in there. They're down Cooper Kupp. They're short on running backs. I'm excited to watch Kyron Williams for sure, but Chiefs defense can have no problem here, and we know their offense, when they go full go, shouldn't have too much of a problem. The Rams defense I still consider decent. They struggled against the Saints last week. Are they giving up a little bit in there? I'm not saying they are or they're not, but kind of questioning a little bit. I got the Chiefs having absolutely no problem. It's just when betting on this game, it's just a matter of, do they just start running clock and not worrying about getting that big lead. But I see the Chiefs kind of getting to that point, getting to around the 27 points there. Saints and Niners, real tough one to pick against the spread as well. I have a 10-point game, and it's a 9.5 spread. I just like the matchup a little bit more, actually a lot. I like the matchup a lot more for the 49ers, but enough to get it just a little bit above that spread. At home, they play incredible defense. They're healthier right now. We saw the Saints. The Rams defense is solid. They did some good things there. They were constantly on the field, though, especially when Stafford came out. But before that, when the Saints were playing tougher defenses, the Steelers, they only scored 10 points on. The Ravens, they really struggled. And now you got maybe the top defense in football, and you're in San Francisco right when they're getting hot, right when they're getting healthy. I don't expect a whole lot from the Saints offense. They could very well finish with 10 again or something like that. And they get an explosive play to Olave, Kamara possibly, but I have them scoring 16. Saints tend to get some field goals instead of touchdowns too in the red zone. And the Niners offense is getting rolling. The Saints don't stop the run like they used to. It's not awful at all, but they don't stop the run like they used to. So the Niners could beat you at McCaffrey. They could beat you at Mitchell. They can beat you throwing the ball as well. So, just the matchup says the Niners should win around about 10. Possibly more. It could end up like that Cardinals game last week, which got really out of hand. So that's why I had above that 9.5. But that's tricky. It's a lot of points, but it's a tricky one for sure. Another tricky one I told you this week is so hard with the against the spread. I had so many right around what that spread is. I have the Packers the +7, but I have the Eagles winning 26-20 here. It just feels like a big spread. The Packers. How did they beat the Cowboys 2 weeks ago? That's what everyone's saying. The Cowboys are a very good team. They just dominated the Vikings. And the Packers are losing to everybody. They don't look good every week, besides that week as well. How the hell did they beat the Cowboys? Because the Packers got a damn good running duo, and they didn't realize that earlier in the year. If the Packers started the year over, not how it works, but they would run the ball a lot more in some of those other games, and they would have a lot more wins right now. They wouldn't be great. They still have their struggles, but they would have, I would say, a few more wins, a couple more wins at least right now. That's why they beat the Cowboys. The Cowboys struggle a little bit to stop the run, too. Going against the Titans are the best team in football, stopping a run with the Niners up there. Stout defense. The Titans took away the Packers' game plan. That is exactly why the Titans won that game, and they executed on offense, but so the Packers couldn't play that game. How they beat the Cowboys, they couldn't play it. They rather play the Cowboys than the Titans, even though you may consider the Cowboys a better team. Eagles, look at recent weeks. It looks like you can run the football on the Eagles. Not maybe as well as maybe on the Cowboys, perhaps, but it looks like you can run the ball. So the Packers come out firing, running the ball with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, a hell of a running back duo there, and you still got to worry about Rodgers a little bit. Still injured thumb. This is right where Rodgers strikes. You could see it. So I could see the Packers just draining the clock, kind of like the Colts did to keep the game low scoring and close. Colts probably should have pulled that off against the Eagles last week. Eagles clutched up. I could see that scenario where the Packers kind of pull that off, keep it close, maybe win the game. So 7 felt like a bit too much, even though there's a scenario where I can see the Eagles covering. I still have the Eagles winning, though, because the Packers are a little beat up on defense. I think Hurts, A.J. Brown, Miles Sanders, these guys could have a pretty good game. They are missing Goddard, though, too, so that takes some points above the board. So I do think the Eagles could do enough here. It could be a trap game. This really could feel like a trap game for the reasons I explained, but I'm going to take the Eagles. It's prime time. It's in Philly. Packers are fresh off primetime loss at home. So I think the Eagles 26-20. 7 felt like a little tiny bit too much, 1 point too much there. And then Monday Night Football. This one's not too hard against the spread. I'm surprised the Steelers are underdogs. I mean, the Colts have been playing a little bit better. They outplayed the Eagles for most of that game. I like the Steelers in this one, though. I'm like a primetime game where we got two quarterbacks that have struggled throughout this year. They had their moments, of course, but they've struggled throughout this year. They've struggled under pressure a little bit as well. That could be a big factor, what has thrown them off. So I look at who's just a much, much better pass rush in a game like this. And then two offensive lines that struggle here and there. Steelers have been a little better than you think, though. A little better on the offensive line than maybe on paper, perhaps, but I'm just going to trust this TJ Watt and the Steelers pass rush a lot more. That's just the first thing I look at in a game like this. Which quarterback's going to be under more pressure? I think Matt Ryan's going to be under a lot more pressure. And I think, Matt Ryan kind of staying the same where he's at in his career, his talent. Kenny Pickett's only going to get better. Whether you're a believer in him or not, if he's the future, it doesn't matter. He's getting better right now. I thought he played, he completed some passes, missed some passes, but I thought he played a better game last week, scored 30 on the Bengals. So maybe makes that extra play. They got Najee going a little bit last week. Colts got a pretty stout defense, but the pass rush is the difference. I'm thinking of like I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as sloppy, but I think of that Colts-Broncos primetime game where it was all pass rush, and I don't know if anyone was better than the other one. They were just getting after it. I'm just going to trust the Steelers pass rusher. That is the difference in this one. I think Matt Ryan will be under more pressure. So I like the Steelers winning. I definitely like them covering that 2.5. It would be great if it was at 3. You'd feel a lot more comfortable. But there's a lot of tough games this week. This one, of course I could see the Colts winning home prime time. They're playing better ball right now, but this is one I didn't really think about a whole lot. I'm not going to guarantee anything, but I like the Steelers in this one, and they're playing better ball right now. Even though they're not constantly winning, but I'll take them 19-17. So kind of recapping this, you can pause the screen if you want because I'm going to rattle. A lot of these are tough. Lions plus 9.5. The matchup says the Bills actually could kill them, beat them pretty good. But I'm not going to predict, that's a lot of points there, especially what's been going on with the Bills, tough, with their traveling situation. Cowboys minus 9.5. It's a lot of points. So it's a little scary, but division game. But Giants are really beat up. Cowboys got the hot hand. I'll take them. Don't touch the Vikings-Patriots game. If you want to throw some money on the Patriots money line, if you're confident with them, I can see that. I like the Browns plus 3.5. I have them winning. It's bold. I don't see them losing by more than 3 points. Bengals-Titans, don't touch it. I wouldn't touch it. Dolphins, I have them covering that 13.5. Things point towards that. The Dolphins don't let off the gas. It doesn't seem they can win with the run or the pass. The Texans switch quarterbacks. I don't really know if that's the right call necessarily. I don't know what Kyle Allen could do. I think the Dolphins defense is going to actually get better going forward too. It's a big spread, but feel pretty good. Jets minus 4.5. It's a little tricky. Could see them winning by a field goal, but they present a matchup that the new Bears offense hasn't really seen yet, and Fields might be out, so that's an interesting one. I like the Commanders covering as well at the 4.5. Panthers plus 2.5. It's a 50-50 game, so you might as well take the Panthers plus 2.5. Ravens, Jags, I wouldn't touch it. Chargers, I had the Chargers covering that 4.5 by winning by 7, but I probably wouldn't touch that one either. Seahawks minus 3.5. They should cover that, but if the Raiders just pound Josh Jacobs and control the game like the Bucs did, there could be an upset special. So keep an eye out for that scenario. The Chiefs, I usually stay away from the big spreads, but they should cover that 14.5. Niners, Saints, I wouldn't touch it. I have them covering 9.5, but it's close. Packers should cover that 7, but it's going to be really close. And I do like the Steelers plus 2.5. I have them winning the football game. I should have just said game. Who says football game? But all right. That'll wrap up the Week 12 picks against spread and score predictions. We're back Wednesday afternoon every single week with this. We have all kinds of different videos. So go to our channel, check it out. Check out those videos. Like, subscribe to notifications on. Be much appreciated. Follow us on Twitter. It's very important for my updates on things and live talk during games, news, rumors, all that stuff. Links pinned in the comments for anything you're looking for. That's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.